Vanderam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagradatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine
Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Shri
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Srila Guru Deva.
Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva.
Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Prajakacharya Stotra Satyasri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Prajakacharya Stotra Satyasri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakti Vrindi Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nikai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, my dear devotees. Those of you on Zoom, as far as possible, I request you to put on your cameras so we can see your moon-like faces, and it will be more personal. Today, we are discussing Srila Prabhupada's arrival in America, which took place on September 17th, 1965. And in, you could say, commemoration of that event, I will begin by reading a couple of exchanges with Srila Prabhupada about his coming to America. Once, Srila Prabhupada was asked, "Your godbrothers who came to the West went to England and Germany. Why did you choose to come to America?" And he replied, "They went and came back to India without accomplishing anything. So I thought, if I'm going to fail, at least let me fail in a different place." And on a morning walk in Los Angeles, a disciple said to Prabhupada, "When you came to the Western world, no one anywhere believed it would be successful. But actually, it has become very successful by preaching." Srila Prabhupada replied, "I myself did not believe I shall be successful, what to speak of others. But because I did in the proper line, so it has become successful." Jai Srila Prabhupada. Of course, it was a difficult voyage for Srila Prabhupada on the ship Jaladuta. And on the way, he had 2 heart attacks. And he thought that if he had a third, he might not survive. He kept a diary, and that has been published, the Jaladuta Diary. I will read a little from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita to give the background leading up to Srila Prabhupada's arrival. Quote, "On the night of the second day, Prabhupada had a dream. Lord Krishna, in his many forms, was rowing a boat, and he told Prabhupada that he should not fear, but should come along. Prabhupada felt assured of Lord Krishna's protection, and the violent attacks did not recur. On Thursday, September 9th, Srila Prabhupada wrote in his diary, quote, "This afternoon, we have crossed over the Atlantic Ocean for 24 hours. The whole day was clear and almost smooth. I'm taking my food regularly and have got some strength to struggle. There's also a slight tacking of the ship, and I'm feeling a slight headache also. But I am struggling, and the nectarine of life is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, the source of all my vitality." The next day, Friday, September 10th, just a week before he arrived in America, he wrote, quote, "Today the ship is flying very smoothly. I feel better today, but I'm feeling separation from free Vrindavan and my lords, Sri Govinda, Gopinath, Radha Damodar. The only solace is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, in which I am tasting the nectarine of Lord Chaitanya's Leela. I have left Bharat Bhumi just to execute the order of Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati in pursuance of Lord Chaitanya's order. I have no qualification, but I have taken up the risk just to carry out the order of his divine grace. I depend fully on their mercy, so far away from Vrindavan. And when Srila Prabhupada arrived at Boston Harbor on September 18, 1965, he wrote a wonderful poem with rhyming stanzas, Arkin Bhagavat Dharma, in which he expressed the same mood of dependence on the mercy of his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Boro Kripa Kaile Krishna Adamera Prati Kilagia Nile Dekoro Ebigati. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. You can do whatever you like with me. In his humility, Srila Prabhupada refers to himself as a useless soul, and he submits himself, as he says later, as a puppet in the hands of Krishna and the Parampara to do with him whatever they like. That should also be our mood in devotional service, that we just want to be puppets in the hands of our spiritual master and act as he wants us to act or do as he wants us to do. And Srila Prabhupada's poem gives us an insight not only into his mood of surrender and dependence on the mercy of the Lord and his spiritual master, but also into what our mood should be in our execution of devotional service. Ache kichu kadratabe e anumane, nahe keno aniban e ugrastane. But I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why should you bring me to this terrible place? It is interesting that Srila Prabhupada called America a terrible place, Ugrastane. Most people want to come to America. They think America is the promised land where their desires will be fulfilled and all their aspirations will be met. But Srila Prabhupada is not seeing America like that, as the promised land, the land of the free and the home of the brave. He is seeing it as a terrible place. Rajastamo gune era sabai achana, Vasudev kataruchi nahe se prasana. Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied. And therefore, they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. In this verse, Srila Prabhupada elaborates on the challenge he is facing in presenting Krishna consciousness. And that is that most of the population are covered by the modes of ignorance and passion. And to appreciate Krishna consciousness, or Krishna Katha, one should be in the mode of goodness, or at least be under the influence of goodness. So Srila Prabhupada is seeing this formidable challenge that he will have to meet in presenting Krishna consciousness to the people in America. Tabe jadi taba kripa hoya haitu ki. Sakali sambhava haitu mi seko tuki. But I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible because you are the most expert mystic. After presenting his incapability, Srila Prabhupada now expresses his hope that Krishna will make the impossible possible because Krishna is the most expert mystic. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita 1878 about Krishna, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, that he is the most expert mystic, and so he can work miracles. And he did through Srila Prabhupada. Ki bhave bhujale tara bhuje se rasa, e kripa karo prabhu kore dija basa. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service? O Lord, I am simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. Srila Prabhupada is exhibiting that mood of helpless dependence on the mercy of the Lord. And that should be our mood when we preach, that we pray for the Lord's mercy to make our words suitable for the audience. And we also pray for the Lord's mercy in the hearts of the audience to make them receptive to the message. When I was distributing books, I would always pray to say the right words to influence the person to take the books. And I would pray to the Lord in the heart of the person I was approaching to inspire them to take the book and do some service, give some donation for the book or magazine. Tomara Ichaya Sabahoy Maya Basa, Tomara Ichaya Nasa Maya Raparasa. All living entities have come under the control of the illusory energy by your will. And therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. For me, this particular stanza has special significance because shortly after I first came to the Boston Temple, I was initiated by Srila Prabhupada by mail. And in my initiation letter, Srila Prabhupada wrote, quote, I marked it in your person when I was in Boston, and I prayed to Krishna that this good soul may be aware of the importance of Krishna consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada's prayer for me was instrumental in my coming to Krishna consciousness. The Lord is known as Bhakta Vatsala, very affectionate to his devotees. And if a devotee, especially a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, prays to the Lord will accept the devotee's prayer. Out of his causeless mercy, Srila Prabhupada prayed to Krishna to make, quote, this good soul aware of the importance of Krishna consciousness. The prayer of the devotee to the Lord for the sake of a candidate for devotional service, or for the sake of a fallen soul, is effective. Here, Srila Prabhupada is saying, quote, all living entities have come under the control of the illusory energy by your will. And therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. So yes, Krishna is all-powerful, and Srila Prabhupada is praying to him on our behalf. And then in the next verse, he says it explicitly. Tava icha hoy jadi tadera udar uji beni sachi kabe kata se tomar. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so deliver their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. This reminds me of Srila Prabhupada's prayer for me, but he is so magnanimous that he is praying for everyone in America, and by extension for everyone everywhere. But specifically, he's praying for us fallen souls in America. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, which of course the Lord does, then only will they be able to understand your message. Bhagavatar kata se tava avatar, dirahaya sune jari kane barabar. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation. Very important. Yes, Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself, an incarnation of Krishna. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Purana Brahma Samitam. This scripture named Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God. That's Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.40. Krishne Sadamo Bhagate Dharma Jnanadipi Saha Kalo Nasta Drisham Esha Puranarko Dunodita. This Bhagavat Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.43. So coming back to Srila Prabhupada's prayer, quote, the words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation. And if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception. So these are the qualifications for understanding the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. To be sober, not intoxicated by one's own greatness or by the prospects of enjoying in the material world. And to receive it repeatedly. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Nityam means always or regularly, with submissive oral reception. It is very important to be submissive, not challenging. When I was first coming to the Boston temple, one of the devotees, Srila Prabhupada, had said that I was submissive. And I, in all my 21 years, had never heard of being submissive as a virtue. It was not something we were taught. So when Prabhupada was appreciating that I was submissive, I thought, oh, that's odd. He was appreciating me for being submissive. And here he is saying, the words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation. And if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, then he will be able to understand your message. And then, in his poem, Srila Prabhupada quotes 5 very important verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. Shrinvatam Sakata Krishna Punyashavana Kirtana Hridyantasto Yabhadrani Vidunoti Saritsatam. Saritsatam. Krishna is the benefactor of the truthful devotee. Satam. Sat is often a word for devotee, but the root of sat is truth. So we should be truthful. We should not be duplicitous, pretentious, or hypocritical. We should be truthful, and we should be honest, and we should be sincere. Nasta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavat utama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. This verse also has personal significance for me. The translation is, by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. In the early days when we were serving Srila Prabhupada in India, he kept us so busy that we hardly had time to read. And I was starting to feel guilty that I wasn't reading his books. So one day, I was sitting within in his room in the Calcutta temple. And even though I didn't say anything about feeling guilty, he could read my mind. And he quoted the verse, Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Bhagavat refers to the book Bhagavat or the person Bhagavat, the devotee Bhagavat. Srila Prabhupada told me that by serving the person Bhagavat, all the truths of the book Bhagavat will be revealed to you, even if you never read the book. He was encouraging me to continue with my service to him, the devotee Bhagavat, and he was assuring me that all the truths of the book would be revealed, even if I didn't read the book. Of course, that was a special time when we were so busy. In general, we should do both, serve the person Bhagavat and read the book Bhagavat. But if under certain circumstances, one is actually engaged fully in serving the person Bhagavat and does not have time to read the book Bhagavat, which could happen even now, all the truths of the book Bhagavat will be revealed. And the next 3 verses. Tada rajastamo bhava kama lobharayastriye cheta aiter adavidham stitam sattve prasidati evam prasana manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate vidyate hridaya granthis chidyante sarva samsaya Shyante chasya karmani Krishna evad panishwari. Now, this is all in Srila Prabhupada's poem. Quote, it is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1:17-21, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Srila Prabhupada quoted these verses from Srimad Bhagavatam as the process by which he would deliver the fallen souls he would encounter in the West. The cleansing of the heart is very difficult, and we are not able to do it on our own. Krishna enters the heart in the form of transcendental sound as Srimad Bhagavatam. And that sound vibration is purifying. And more than that, Krishna, as the Supersoul, will also cleanse the heart of desires for material enjoyment. So we are really quite helpless on our own, but Krishna helps. All we have to do is lend submissive oral reception to his messages, and then he will help, both in the form of transcendental sound and as the Paramatma within the heart. I'll read it again. Prabhupada says it here repeatedly, quote, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, Supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Punya Shravana Kirtana. Just by hearing and chanting, one becomes pious or virtuous. Quote, by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome in the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. The Sanskrit is Nasta Praeshu Abhadreshu. Abhadreshu means all that is inauspicious. Nasta means destroyed. And Praeshu means almost completely. Not completely, that comes later, but almost completely. Commenting on this verse, Srila Prabhupada has said 75%. Then the next verse. At that time, loving service is established in the heart, and the modes of passion, rajas, and ignorance, tamas, and lust and desire, kama, disappear from the heart. End quote. Then you are really purified. And the next verse, quote, thus established in the mode of goodness, the man rejuvenated by loving service to the Lord gains liberation from all material association, mukti, and comes to know scientifically of the personality of Godhead. Then the devotee, the listener, through submissive oral reception, which leads to liberation from material association, mukta sangasya jayate, comes to know scientifically of the personality of Godhead. Bhagavat Tattva Vijnana. The next quote, thus the knot in the heart and all misgivings are cut to pieces. End quote. It's so liberating just to read this. Thus the knot in the heart and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. End quote. After quoting these 5 verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada continues his poem. Ajastamo hate tabe prahibe nivstar, hridayara bhadra sate guchi bebtahar. He will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the core of his heart will disappear. Srila Prabhupada in his Bengali was summarizing these verses. Ki kore bujabo kata borose chahi, kudra ami dina kono shakti nahi. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I'm very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. We can see Srila Prabhupada's abject humility and his complete dependence on the Lord's mercy. There is no pretense when he calls himself the most fallen. Srila Prabhupada had a disciple who once said to him, quote, I am the most fallen, end quote. And Srila Prabhupada replied, you are not the most anything. But when Srila Prabhupada said it, he meant it. Srila Prabhupada was actually fulfilling his disciple's desire. The disciple wanted to be humble, and he was presenting himself as humble. And Prabhupada's words were humbling. You are not the most anything. Atacha enecho Prabhu kata boli bare, je tomaricha Prabhu koro e bare. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. Again, complete dependence on the Lord. Akila Jagat Guru Bachana Se Amar Alankrita Koribar Kamata Tomar. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. And if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. This is also a very important verse because it speaks to the point of realization. Quote, I can simply repeat your message, end quote. So we repeat, but at the same time, Srila Prabhupada is praying to the Lord to make his power of speaking suitable for the audience. Indirectly, he is alluding to the point of realization. In his purport to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4, The Appearance of Sri Narada, Text 1, Srila Prabhupada gives a nice definition of realization. Vyasuvacha iti bruvanam samstuya muninam dirghasatrinam ridakula pati sutam avricha sonako bravit. Translation. Sri Vyasadeva said, on hearing Sutta Goswami speak thus, Sonaka Muni was the elderly learned leader of the rishis engaged in that prolonged sacrificial ceremony, congratulated Sutta Goswami by addressing him as follows. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Sri Sonaka Rishi had all these qualifications And thus he stood up to congratulate Sri Sutta Goswami when he expressed his desire to present Srimad Bhagavatam exactly as he heard it from Sukadeva Goswami, and also realized it personally. Personal realization does not mean that one should, out of vanity, attempt to show one's learning by trying to surpass the previous acharya. He must have full confidence in the previous acharya, but at the same time, he must realize the subject matter so nicely that he can present the matter for the particular circumstances in a suitable manner. The original purpose of the text must be maintained. No obscure meaning should be screwed out of it, yet it should be presented in an interesting manner for the understanding of the audience. This is called realization. So now I come back to Srila Prabhupada's words here. It's exactly the same thing. Akila Jagat Guru Bachanai Samara Alamkrita Goribar Kamatatomara. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. That's the idea of just repeating, but more than that also. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Tava kripahale mar kata suda abe sunya sabara saukaduka jagut chibe. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. End quote. And that is exactly what happened when Srila Prabhupada, empowered by Krishna, came. We heard him, we appreciated what he said, and we became happy. As Srila Prabhupada said, he was converting the hippies into happies. Aniyacho jadi Prabhu amare nachate, nacho Prabhu nache se mate, kastera putali jato nache se mate. O Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, O Lord. Make me dance as you like. Such a beautiful metaphor. Bhakti nahi veda nahi name kubadaro. Bhakti vedanta nam e sartaka koro. Quote, I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhakti Vedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhakti Vedanta. End quote. Bhakti means devotion, and Vedanta means knowledge. Actually, Veda means knowledge, and Anta means the end of knowledge. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that he's been designated as Bhakti Vedanta, but actually he has no bhakti, devotion, or Vedanta, knowledge. But, quote, I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. And this, in one sense, is really the secret of Srila Prabhupada's success. His strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada had a god brother named Akinchana Krishna Das Babaji Maharaj, who Srila Prabhupada said was a Paramahamsa, a liberated soul, and was always chanting. At Prabhupada's sannyas initiation, Akinchana Krishna Das Babaji Maharaj was also present in the Gaudiya Math in Mathura, where Prabhupada took sannyas from His Holiness Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. During the ceremony, there was a break, and Babaji Maharaj started chanting. And then, when it was time for the mantras for the ceremony to begin again, the priest, not Keshav Maharaj, but his disciple who was doing the fire ceremony, motioned to Babaji Maharaj to stop chanting. And Prabhupada, behind his back, motioned to Babaji Maharaj, keep chanting, keep chanting. And Babaji Maharaj said that at that time he understood that Srila Prabhupada would become the world leader of the Hare Krishna movement because he had complete faith in the holy names. And Srila Prabhupada himself says it here. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. And Srila Prabhupada signed the poem, quote, signed the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, on board the ship Jaladuta, Commonwealth Pier, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, dated 18th of September, 1965. This poem was unknown to us, and Srila Prabhupada himself wasn't even sure if there was any record of it. But devotees did find it, and they published it in Back to Godhead magazine. And that issue of Back to Godhead with the poem came into our hands in 1971 when we were staying at the Sea Palace Hotel in Kolaba, which was owned by our friend and life member, Ramchand Chabria. It was a vegetarian hotel, and we didn't have any other place to stay in Bombay then, and he allowed us to stay free of charge. So the magazine came, and Guru Das and his wife, Yamuna Devi, and I were reading from it. And when we came to the signature, quote, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Yamuna Devi burst into tears. She was just so moved by Srila Prabhupada's humility. I will never forget that. She burst into tears. We should have such feelings for Srila Prabhupada. So this is a momentous historic occasion, Srila Prabhupada's arrival in America. And because of his coming here, pursuant to the order of his spiritual master, our lives have been changed. We've been saved from nature's modes of passion and ignorance, and all the other things that Srila Prabhupada described about the population that he was preparing to encounter. So, my dear devotees, thank you for joining us on this auspicious occasion. It's a celebration of Srila Prabhupada's arrival in America. And now, if you have any questions or comments, any reflections, you can raise your hand, your physical hand or your virtual hand. and we will discuss further. And again, as far as possible, the participants on Zoom, please put on your cameras so we can see your moon-like faces. Yes, Krishna Lila Dasi.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Please accept my obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I was just wondering, you were saying that Prabhupada arrived in Boston Harbor on the 17th of September, but he wrote that poem the next day, the 18th of September. It's signed the 18th of September.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe he stayed on the boat. I mean, it's true, it stated the 18th, but we've always heard that he arrived on the 17th.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Mhm.
he stayed on the boat.
Mhm.
All right, so if there are no more questions or comments, oh, Malati Dasi has raised her hand.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my heartfelt obeisances and to the dust of your lotus feet. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your divine grace. Guru Maharaj, as you said twice in today's lecture, that Prabhupada wrote that I'm a useless soul and Krishna, please use me as you like. This is the mood of pleasing the divine couple, actually the highest mood what Prabhupada was exhibiting. We see the same mood in the 8th stanza of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prayers, Ashleshya Padratam Pinastumam. And I just recollected the same pastime when Srila Prabhupada was about to leave his body, and the pastime happened when he wanted to visit Govardhan. And there were two parties where the first party said that, yes, we have to please Srila Prabhupada, whatever he says, and we have to do whatever he likes. Now, I was a little confused that the second party said that no, Srila Prabhupada, like you have to take care of your health and you cannot go about like this. So what is the right mood, Guru Maharaj? Because is it that we be ourselves and whatever mood we have for our spiritual master and Krishna, we should exhibit the same mood, or we should reach the mood like fully surrendered and just follow what it is said. So please, Guru Maharaj, if you can show something.
Yes, at the end, it's true. Srila Prabhupada expressed his desire to go to Govardhan. And one group of devotees said it's not our duty to question the order of the spiritual master. We should just execute the order. But the other devotees were concerned that Srila Prabhupada would not be able to withstand the arduous journey to Govardhan, and that he might even give up his body on the way. And Tamal Krishna Goswami said people might even accuse us of killing our spiritual master. So, I mean, there were senior devotees on both sides of the controversy. but I was closer to the devotees who felt that we should not subject Srila Prabhupada to that arduous journey. And that group was led by Tamal Krishna Goswami and Bhakti True Swami. And in the end, Srila Prabhupada agreed not to go. And but even afterwards, that controversy continued amongst the different devotees. And I myself wasn't completely sure. But after Srila Prabhupada left, I was I was looking at the new volume of Srimad Bhagavatam that had just come in his room. And in that volume, the Damodar Leela is discussed. And of course, Srila Prabhupada left during Kartik, the month of Damodar. And during, yes, and in the discussion of the Damodar Leela, Srimad Bhagavatam says that although Krishna is fully independent, he does have one transcendental attribute, and that is that he comes under the control of the love of his pure devotees. And I related that to what had happened with Srila Prabhupada, that he came under the control of his pure devotees and agreed not to go to Govardhan. Amlata.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you. Thank you for sharing this wonderful poem and the purport so beautifully, Maharaj. My question is, why does the pure devotee feel that he has no devotion and no knowledge? What are the feelings going on in the heart of a pure devotee to come to this point of realization?
Yeah, that is the pure devotee's humility.
Mm-hmm.
Like the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, he says, I'm lower than the worm and stool, and I'm more sinful than Jagai and Madai. So as one becomes more advanced, one becomes more aware of one's deficiencies. Although the deficiencies may not actually be there, but one feels oneself to be deficient, and that makes one humble. And that is very favorable for devotional service, to be humble.
Does the devotee come to such refined realization based on seeing the previous acharyas, or how is such consciousness cultivated? Or
That could be part of it, but a lot comes from offenseless chanting and hearing. Yeah, as one's heart becomes cleansed, one becomes more acutely aware of one's deficiencies as part of the process of purification.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Chandrika Priya.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Divine Grace. Sorry, Guru Maharaj, the question is actually not very much related to the topic. Is it okay to ask?
Yes.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I was wondering, like we have the couple of devotees here, and there's some tension between them. And one of the devotees, she does so much book distribution. It's amazing. Like she distributes, 5 to 6 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam almost every day. And she distributes CC as well. And, I feel like, giving so many obeisances to her on one hand, but then on the other hand, she can be so nasty to this other devotee. And I don't understand how that can happen. Like, I'm not able to understand this contradiction, like how it can be that someone, that a devotee, distributes so many books, but on the other hand, cannot. Sorry, I'm not in a very quiet place, but so I was wanting to ask that, Guru Maharaj.
Well, it's wonderful that she distributes so many books, but she should also be humble and respectful of the other devotees and not be mean or nasty. Did you ever ask her about it?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, it's a family tension, actually. It's the daughter and mother, and the daughter got married to someone the mother didn't like. So that's the thing. So that's what happened. But it's just like, it's really like, because I guess she goes and puts it on public groups and stuff, and that's, it's a bit nasty. But I was just wondering how, like, I cannot understand how like, I don't know how to say, but how on one hand it's so amazing, like she's completely transcendental when she goes on distribution, and then on the other hand, it just, when the situation arises, it's like a completely different person.
Yeah, I mean, she has to let it go. I mean, really, she has to accept it with a more philosophical outlook, and not try to be such a controller and not react on the basis of false ego. And I can't say I really understand the situation completely, but based on what I've gotten from you, I would say that she should just let it go. She's not the supreme controller, Krishna is, and things didn't work out the way she wanted, and it's just the way it is.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you for that.
Okay.
And thank you for the wonderful class.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Tanu, is your hand up?
Yes, Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. As usual, is a wonderful class, Maharaj. Okay, we learn a lot of things from the class. Okay, but my question is a continuation of the Chandrika Mataji is asking that. Okay, we are hearing from the pure devotees every moment here and there, more humble than the grass, more tolerant than tree. And still there is a lauded to our mentality is coming on that. Okay, sometimes we are bursting, not sometimes, most of the time we are bursting that. Okay, we are uncontrollable, the emotion coming out because things are going out of control or something like that, Maharaj. How do we control our emotion, Maharaj?
Yeah, well, of course, our main process is offenses, hearing, and chanting that cleanses the heart, Cheto Darpano Marjanam, and that helps. And we also have to make an effort. And Srila Prabhupada said if we feel angry, we should think of Lord Nrsingadev. And if you feel lusty, you should think of Krishna and the gopis. So somehow transfer your consciousness to the Lord, and that will purify your consciousness and help you get over that emotional rush.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Malati?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, as you said that one becomes humble when one chants very sincerely. It's not so easy to hear and be attentive, but we try our level best to hear our rounds. But every syllable, it's like too difficult. It's like too difficult, Guru Maharaj, to hear every syllable. So how to get up to that mood of chanting, to hear every syllable. Once I tried around hearing every syllable, but it took me like quite a bit of effort and a lot of time consuming. So I don't know how to go about, Guru Maharaj. Please, can you help me?
Srila Prabhupada said practice makes perfect, even in spiritual life. So if you practice chanting attentively, then eventually you'll become perfect. But it's a battle. The mind is always going here and there. As Burijan Prabhu says, and there are many good books on japa that I recommend. And one of them is by Burijan Prabhu, and it's called Japa. And he says it's a battle, but that battle must be fought. You can't just give in to the mind and surrender to the mind and let it go wherever it wants. You have to make that endeavor, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, whenever and wherever the mind wanders, you should bring it back to the self.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Please pray for me so that I can chant attentively and please you and the divine.
I will pray for you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
There's some nice prayers. Srila Prabhupada actually recommended some prayers before chanting japa that will help us to overcome offenses. So I'll email you those prayers. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Maharaj, can I also have those prayers, please?
Okay, I'll send you two. Maybe I'll read them since I might have created some interest here. Okay, so in the purport to Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.23, Srila Prabhupada writes, quote, One should be very humble and meek to offer one's desires and chant prayers composed in glorification of the holy name, such as Ai Mukta Kular Upasyamanam, Namastika 1, and Nivrittatarsir Upagiyamanad, Srimad Bhagavatam 10:1-4. One should chant such prayers to become free from offenses at the lotus feet of the holy name. So that's Srimad Bhagavatam 7:523 purport. And now the two prayers that Srila Prabhupada mentioned. The first is Namastika 1. Nikila Shruti Molirat Namala Duti Nirajita Pada Pankajanta Ahi Mukta Kularupasyamanam Hari Tastvam Harinama Shrayami. O Harinam, the tips of the toes of your lotus feet are constantly being worshipped by the glowing radiance emanating from the string of gems known as the Upanishads, the crown jewels of all the Vedas. You are eternally adored by liberated souls such as Narada and Sukadev. O Harinam, I take complete shelter of you. That's Namastika 1. And then Nivrittatarshar Upagiyamanad Bhavo Sajashtrochamano Viramat Ka Uttamashloka Gunanuvadat Puman Virajyeta Vinapasugnat. Quote, glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is relished by those no longer interested in the false temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. Descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned soul undergoing repeated births and death. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher or one who is killing his own self? So again, coming back to the purport, which gave the idea, quote, one should be very humble and meek and offer one's desires and chant prayers composed in glorification of the holy name, such as Ai Mukta Kular Upasimanam, Namastika 1, and Nivrittatarsar Upagiyamanad, Srimad Bhagavatam 10:1-4. One should chant such prayers to become free from offenses at the lotus feet of the holy name. And here Srila Prabhupada is giving these two prayers as examples, but he's making the general point that one should chant prayers composed in glorification of the holy name, and that will help one become free from offenses at the lotus feet of the holy name. Shri Harinam Prabhu Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Thank you, Maharaj, for your mercy. This will be Maharaj's last class in this forum for this year. Maharaj will be going to India, and it will be, as Maharaj said, that's very practical. It will be very difficult for Maharaj to get on this hour from India, especially when time changes next month. So Maharaj, when you will be back?
I'm scheduled to be back in February.
Okay.
I think February 22nd.
We will wait.
I'll be very happy to join you upon my return.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Thank you for your mercy, Maharaj. I will see you in Vrindavan, Maharaj. I will have that.
Yes, I look forward to seeing you in Vrindavan.
Thank you, Maharaj.
All right, so if we're going to end now, I suggest we conclude with Vaishnav Pranam. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnav devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees, who can fulfill the desires of everyone and are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Panchakalpa tribhyascha kripa sindhubhya patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada's arrival in America ki jai, Srila Prabhupada's name ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
His Holiness Kiratsvai Maharaj ki jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.